New contract lows in the soybean market. And don't look now, but September beans closed under $10 for the first time. There was a new low close in new crop corn. Wheat futures couldn't generate much buying interest. Cattle complex was lower. Cotton lower. Lean hogs lower. It was a tough day for the farm markets.
Live from another tough day via Farm Journal Studios, this is AgriTalk. This afternoon, it's a conversation with Ed Usich from the University of Minnesota Extension Grain Marketing. Directly following the news, Oliver Slope from Blue Line Futures. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson, and now the host of AgriTalk, Chip Flory.
All right, Davis. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, we're starting to string these together. Yeah,
it's affecting my brain. I couldn't even say. Here's what I was trying to say. It's a conversation with Ed Usich, grain marketing specialist from the University of Minnesota Extension. It's all falling apart, Chip.
Yeah, it is all very special the way that you did it, Davis.
Well, I was trying.
It was all good.
You know, sometimes just shoot the layup, forget the dunk. You know what I mean? Just shoot the layup.
Right. That's right. No need for the flash on a day like today.
Don't need. No, not today.
No. Ed and I are going to try to find something happy to talk about. We're not going to ignore what's happening.
Okay.
We can't ignore it. This is kind of it's not even kind of an ugly day. Corn was 3 to 4 cents lower, but it was a tough way to close things up. New low close in D's corn. Beans, we've seen worse losses this week, but it just keeps piling on, and all of a sudden, we've got September beans under $10. We'll see what Ed is thinking about what's going on in these markets, and get his thoughts on what to expect from USDA on Monday in the production report and supply and demand updates. And, of course, we've got Oliver coming up after the news. Let's go ahead and get started, buddy.
Absolutely, Chip. Well, wheat futures ended with slight losses on spillover pressure from the corn and soybean markets, but prices remain locked in a narrow sideways trading pattern. Early support for wheat prices stemmed from updated estimates from Strategy Grains. The European consulting firm cut its forecast of EU wheat production by 5.8 million metric tons to 116.5 million. Expected EU exports were sliced by 4.1 million metric tons. A frost risk to the Argentine wheat crop also limited selling. However, wheat export sales in the weekend of August 1 totaled just 274,000 metric tons. That was at the low end of trade expectations. And in other news, somewhere a puppy is being rescued from a well. December HRW wheat futures 3.5 cents lower, 5.68 3/4. December SRW wheat down a half penny to 5.61 1/2. September spring wheat closed at 5.85 1/4, down a half cent, Chip.
Yeah, not a good look on the wheat market today at all. And I was going to ask if today was Bring Your Puppy to Work Day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's every day.
Blaze the News Dog is right here. Export sales, old crop corn weekend at August 1 totaled 485,000 metric tons and easily topped trade expectations. New crop corn sales of 249,000 metric tons were way below trade guesses. A Midwest forecast with mild temperatures and little drought stress through this weekend drained buying interest out of the market. December corn futures stopped short of a full test of support at the contract low of $3.95, but did post a new contract low close to the good. Yeah. Kittens don't care if you are ugly. September corn futures 4 cents lower, $3.79 1/4. December corn down 3 3/4 to $3.97. March corn futures closed at 4.14 1/2, down 3 1/2 cents.
That's a happy thought right there. I like that.
They don't care.
We just need a shot of demand. We know that the supply is going to be big. We need to see the importers finally decide now's the time to step in and get some coverage. And I don't know what's going to trigger that.
Chip, soybean oil was mixed with support in the nearby contracts tied to a disruption in supplies from Argentina. Export sales of old crop soybeans in the weekend at August 1 totaled just over 325,000 metric tons. That topped trade expectations. New crop bean sales were strong at more than 985,000 metric tons, the most optimistic expected sales of 900,000 metric tons. November bean futures fell to a new contract low and ended on session lows. September beans were 11 3/4 cents lower at 9.93 1/2. November beans down 10 1/2 to 10.08 1/4. January beans closed at 10.25, down 9 3/4 cents. Chip.
Boy, you did that well. I didn't know if you'd be able to say that September beans closed at 9.93 1/2 without, some sort of a convulsion there. But it's a technical breakdown as well as a lack of fundamental support for the markets.
I was reading with my eyes closed. It's an old broadcaster's trick. The cotton marketing year ended July 31, made for a messy export sales report. As intended, old crop sales were rolled into the new crop marketing year. The net result was an export sales net reduction of nearly 950,000 running bales. Jeez. December cotton today was 49 points lower at 67.24.
Yeah,
on your livestock
sort out. Just a quick note on that. It will sort out. Those cotton export sales numbers will sort out, okay? Yeah. It's not as bad as it sounds.
Well, beef export sales week ended August 1 totaled 10,000 metric tons, down 27% from the 4-week average. Boxed beef prices moderately lower this morning, but movement was solid. October fat cattle $1.25 lower today at 178.02 1/2. September feeder futures $1.47 1/2 lower at 237.42 1/2. And on the snout side, pork export sales 34,600 metric tons were up 24% from the 4-week average. Still, October hogs today 95 cents lower, 73.62 1/2. Chip.
All right, thank you very much, Davis. Let's bring in Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures. How you doing, Oliver?
Doing well, Chip. How about yourself?
Well, not too bad. I think I'd rather talk about getting ready for crop tour. I'd rather talk about North Dakota, getting ready for Iowa State, UTEP, and Nebraska. I'd rather talk about any
Bears,
of that.
the Bears and Hard Knocks. Come on, I'm back on the bandwagon. It's that easy. Just put them on TV. I'll watch.
It's all better than talking about these grain markets right now, dude. That was an ugly day.
Yeah, it was. I always hate the slow bleeds lower and the trickle lower, and that's what we've gotten in the grains. And unfortunately, I kind of in the camp that we need to see more panic and capitulation before marking a low one way or another. And obviously, I don't think we're to that point yet. But it'll be interesting to see, what the USDA comes out with. I know expectations are pretty lofty, and high expectations are sometimes hard to beat. In the prior years, the bars have been set maybe relatively low as there's been more concern areas and isolated areas of concern where the expectations were lower. It was easy to overcome, and that's what pressured prices, during this time of year. This year, it's almost the opposite. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out in next week's report. And then you mentioned on crop tour as well, getting some boots on the ground and seeing it for ourselves.
Right. Yep. No doubt about it. Is it going to turn into a real downside correction in the cattle complex?
No, I mean, we've already started, obviously.
Okay.
I know you and Ben talked, and you and I have talked over the last several weeks about a lot of, looming headline risks in this market, whether it be bird flu, election, plant closures, the economy, this, that, and the other. And, this time of year and a seasonally weak time of year, it doesn't take much to get people running for the exits. That's what we've seen. And I'm afraid that the lows probably aren't in yet. We're going to get some recovery rallies here and there, but I think those are opportunities to protect downside.
Yeah, that conversation with Ben Rand happened at exactly the right time. Oliver, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chip.
Ed Usit's up next.
The best talkers in ag, including you. Join the conversation on AgriTalk. Call us at 855-4TALK-AG.
Tell you what, this weather that we've got right now makes me think we're north of the border there, Davis.
You liking it?
Yeah, I'm loving
Yeah?
it. What is the temperature here in northeast Iowa this afternoon? I know it's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. And we are looking at a very nice 75 degrees.
Oh, hello. We're 81 degrees and placid, I would call it outside.
Yeah?
81 and placid.
Yeah, the only reason that we got to 75 is because we lost some of the cloud cover in it. And we've got some sun coming through now. So, yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Perfect.
All right, let's
nice
go up
little
north.
reprieve.
Yeah, but let's go back up north.
Let's do it.
University of Minnesota Extension Grain Marketing Specialist, Ed Usett. Ed, it is good to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chip. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I like some of the things that you said in the emails that we were exchanging earlier, that we need to try to find some positive things to talk about. But at the same
hard,
time,
Chip.
It is. At the same time, Ed, we can't ignore what is going on. I mean, man, a first $9 close in the beans, new contract low close in the corn. It was a tough day.
It was a bad day, and we have been drifting lower, but lower and lower for too long here. The funds have been big shorts for a number of weeks, if not well over a month, and they've been right. They've been right.
Yep. What? Oh, okay. Couple of thoughts here. When you look at the fund positioning in here, and before people freak out and say, geez, the markets have been under pressure for more reasons than fund selling. I get that. I know that. I understand that. But just getting the funds out of those short positions and back to a neutral position would help this market out a lot, I think, wouldn't it, Ed?
It would help it a lot, but we need a catalyst. They're not going to change positions until they see some bit of news, a big bit of news on either the demand side. We need a surprise on the demand side, on the supply side, something to knock them off the dime and make them act.
Yeah. And if it's going to come from the demand side, it's probably got to be in the export market. And I don't know, I said this in the news to Davis. What we need to see is the globe's importers of corn decide, okay, now's the time. It's time to step in and get things covered. But if the trend is your friend, why would you do that right now?
That's right. They're sitting back and why make a decision today that you can put off till tomorrow? And they've been rewarded for that for weeks. So, but sure would be nice to get some bit of news, because I do believe that coverage is pretty short, and people have to be thinking, this opportunity to extend coverage out several months or 4 months, 6 months, they got to be thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. China, what have been the shifts in Chinese demand? It for a couple of years, not that long ago, the surprise Chinese buy of U.S. corn, the possibility was always there. I don't know if I feel like that's even a possibility right now, Ed.
I don't think so. They've been building stocks, as you know, for years in wheat and corn, and going their own direction, if you will, as opposed to the rest of the world. I look at carryouts worldwide now. Worldwide, you look at wheat, you look at corn. Take China out of the equation because they're doing their own thing. These carryout numbers are not that big. They're just, in fact, they're very tight in the world of wheat if you take China out of it. Now, that doesn't make sense with what prices are doing, but the challenge is we hold the stocks. The U.S. is the holder of the stocks. We've got very comfortable, if not large, wheat carryouts. Even though I can take it, and out of the other side of my mouth, I'm telling you, there's not that much wheat around.
That is a tough concept for people to wrap their heads around it.
Yeah.
And really, we can talk about wheat, we can talk about corn, and the ability to change one for the other in some rations. But I don't know if that's all that key in this market, Ed. We just need one of those markets has to decide that it's done going down, and I'm I don't think we're there on either yet. One thing that might change that is we're not all that far from getting a winter wheat seedings intentions, and people are starting to put those numbers together, and it does not look good. I mean, down anywhere from 2.5 to 3 million acres, right?
Yeah, and wouldn't that be the lowest acreage ever, or at least in the modern last 100 years or something like that? At the same time, I know the pressure is still there. I keep my eye on the northern plains, my great state of Minnesota. We still produce quite a bit of wheat up in the northwest corner of the state, and the great state of North Dakota. Crop conditions there, and they've just been off the chart. They're wonderful, and I wouldn't doubt if both Minnesota and North Dakota deliver record spring wheat yields this year.
Is that already factored in, do you think?
I think so. I think this is well understood. You talk to the people out there growing this wheat, they'll talk about how it's looking very good. And
Yep. So we've got the reports coming up on Monday. That supply and demand report and the production report. Start me off with corn. What do you think the market is ready for on that on the corn production and supply and demand?
Well, I think the expectation is we're going to nudge the yield a little bit higher, the average yield a little bit higher, and there's also an expectation that we're going to take a few harvested acres out of it. And those harvested acres that are coming out, it's going to be right here in my own state of Minnesota. We had too much water, too much rain, a lot of washed out areas that's got to be taken into account in this report.
Okay. It seems weird to me that we're talking about USDA probably nudging that national average corn yield up from 181, when in reality, USDA could give us a record national average corn yield, and it could still be bullish. If they would come in at that 177, 178, just call it a 178. It'd be 4 bushels below trade expectations, and it'd still be a record. I don't know if I don't recall a setup like this, Ed.
Yeah, that would be a shocking number. That would be a shocking number. I mean, we set a record last year in completely different conditions, poor crop conditions. So I can't even wrap my mind around it. The idea of coming in at 178 or even less than 180, but we've seen greater surprises before.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm not making that prediction because I think the numbers are coming together, and I think you're right. Now, the question on the acres is, can the acres move enough to make a difference to the market at this time, Ed?
My expectation is there's going to be a wash. We're going to bump the yield. We're going to take down the acres, and the total production picture is going to look very much like it did in the July report.
Yeah, so about a 15 billion bushel corn crop.
Yeah.
Against use of less than 15 billion bushels. That's the big rub, isn't it?
That it is. We don't. Anytime you're building stocks, the math is pretty simple. If you're building stocks, supply has outrun demand, and that's all you need to know for the trend in the prices.
Right. Okay, I want to talk about what that might mean for corn marketing strategies at the start of the next segment, but I pulled up the crop progress report for Monday to get to the spring wheat condition reports. I wanted to get the numbers on North Dakota. It's one of the most impressive spring wheat crop condition numbers for South Dakota that I can remember. 1% very poor, 2% poor, 17% fair, 66% good, and 14% excellent. Just 3% poor to very poor. That's just a phenomenal crop up there. All right, we are talking with Ed Usett from University of Minnesota. We're going to talk corn marketing, and get to the bean S&Ds next.
Let's go to the markets page at profarmer.com and check today's closes, where December HRW wheat futures were 3 1/2 cents lower at 5.68 3/4. December SOW wheat down a half penny to 5.61 1/2. September corn futures were 4 cents lower at 3.79 1/4. December corn down 3 3/4 to 3.97. September soybean futures 11 3/4 cents lower today at 9.93 1/2. November beans down 10 1/2 to 10.08 1/4. December cotton today was 49 points lower at 67.24. On your livestocks, October fats were $1.25 lower at 178.02 1/2. September feeders $1.47 1/2 lower at 237.42 1/2. And October lean hogs today 95 cents lower at 73.62 1/2. Get more. Try profarmer.com.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. The truth is hard to come by these days, unless you listen to AgriTalk.
Okay, biofuels. Biofuels. We need to talk about that a little bit, too. Welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm your host, Chip Flory. We're in the middle of a conversation with Ed Usit from the University of Minnesota. If we're going to talk about some good news, we can go to biofuels, can't we, Ed?
Well, biofuels promise to be good news, but I think the term is we're getting out over our skis here. And the industry is expanding the supply side faster than the demand side. So it's a bit of an issue there. It's not a bit of an issue, it's a big issue, and it's going to dog us for some time.
Now, is that on the bio-based diesel or ethanol or both?
I'm thinking in particular diesel. Ethanol has its own issues around sustainable aviation fuel, but this biodiesel and renewable diesel stuff, man, we're expanding like mad throughout the country. Our crushing capacity expanding like mad. Our refining capacity, turning it into renewable diesel, and it's getting ahead of the mandates. It's getting ahead of the state level incentives to increase demand. I like to say demand looks good. Unfortunately, supply looks gooder.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some corn marketing. With everything that we've talked about in this corn market and that it has been factored into current prices, when somebody calls you up and says, Ed, let's talk about my 2024 crop marketing plan on corn, where do you start? What does the conversation sound like?
Well, I want to know if they've done some pre-harvest marketing. I know the opportunities were not great this year, but there are people out there who got something done early at prices that they probably held their nose at the time, and they're feeling very good about it right now. Maybe got something on the books 50 cents ago or 70 cents ago. And the good news is after harvest, for people who have something done, who have a little bit priced, carries have returned to the corn market. For the first time, by my measure, first significant carries we've seen in 4 years, which is really strange in the world of corn. Carries are sort of the norm in the corn market. They're back. If I've got something priced early, I'm going to store that grain, sell the carry, sell the May contract, sell the July contract. You can do that with futures, do it with the hedge to arrive contract, do it with a forward contract, whatever works for you. Yep. And you're going to come out okay on those bushels. Okay. It's the unpriced bushels that have me concerned.
Right.
There's no real good alternative there.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of producers are behind on what I call priority bushels, and those are bushels that no matter where you look, you can't find any more room to put them, and they're going to have to go on the truck to town, to market during harvest. I feel like guys are behind on that. Do you just hold your nose and make some sales, some cash sales on these priority bushels? Do you re-own it with a call option? What are your thoughts? Well,
the record on re-owner, I think you're going to just take some hits on those bushels. The success record on re-ownership of bushels with corn options, say on the May option or the July option. Yeah, I've got data going back 35 years. It just doesn't work very often. Had a couple of spectacular years, but 3 out of 4 out of 5 years, you're going to say goodbye to that money too. So I do it on a little bit.
Drought's got to develop in the following year, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I'm not very good at predicting those things.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Expectations for the soybean production report, supply and demand report that we get on Monday. They're at 52 for a trendline yield. It feels like the attitude is that that's going to get bumped up a bit too, doesn't it?
I think so. In fact, I would have a greater expectation of bumping the soybean yield than I would the corn yield. But yeah, I think that's going to get bumped up a little bit. And the ending stocks numbers in soybeans just make your knees shake a little bit.
And even on a stocks to use ratio basis, the soybean numbers are feeling a bit burdensome. That whole outlook has changed in the last 4 months. 4 months ago, it was I can't find a bullish story to tell on corn, but beans maybe. Now the beans maybe part of it is kind of gone. Yeah. I might be able to find a better bullish story in corn than soybeans right now. Yeah, I think
I can't find it in corn either. But I would be more favorable towards corn.
Yeah. What about the funds in soybeans? We know what the funds are doing in corn. Are they doing the same thing in beans?
Yeah, across the board, corn, soybeans, and wheat, they are short, and in a big way.
Okay. All right. Thought on marketing strategies for soybeans.
Soybeans, I'm going to, the carries are getting larger in soybeans too. I want to say the carry from November to July is looks like it's almost 55 cents. That looks big, but when you have interest rates elevated and $10 soybeans or something close to $10 soybeans, it doesn't pencil out as a big carry. I'm going to put beans in the bin and hope for the best. A rally in the year ahead.
All right. So when you were talking about those strategies to use to capture the carry, sell the futures out in advance, a hedge to arrive contract, a forward cash contract. How do you decide? Which tool is going to be the best one for you to use?
It's all about basis. Basis and cost. I think hedge to arrives. There can be charges for them by your local elevator or whoever you're working with, and they vary all over the Corn Belt. So you got to know what the cost is there. And the forward contract, of course, is going to lock in the basis. So you have to have a good sense of what you consider a good basis out in that April, May, June period when you might be delivering that grain. If it's a good basis that is wrapped into that forward contract bid, go for it. If it's not a good basis, you're better off selling futures directly or using the hedge to arrive.
Right. Obviously, because the selling futures or the hedge to arrive leaves basis open, which means it's a two-part operation or strategy.
You bet.
You've got to lock in the basis at a later date.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and that's a very powerful thing. I am looking at basis, and it looks very average, if you will.
Yeah.
I have a southern Minnesota, Iowa attitude about this thing, and basis levels for harvest look very average. Um, I am concerned about the nearby basis in corn going into harvest just over the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'm concerned about it because we still have too many bushels in the bin.
Yeah.
And I think any rally, people are going to be cleaning out last year's crop. We still have to worry about last year's crop.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen some evidence of that here in the way that this corn market is performed with, early session strength giving way to some late session pressure. I think a lot of that is tied to farmers deciding that it's time to sweep the bin and clean things up. Real quick, wheat marketing strategies. What do you like there?
Carries have returned to the wheat market too. And once again, if you've been savvy enough to make some early sales, pre-harvest sales, and now I'm talking about spring wheat, of course, because the winter wheat crop is in. But there you have a chance to sell a deferred contract, the December or the March, and wait for the basis to work in your favor. I think that'd be a good strategy in wheat this year.
I'm talking to a guy that likes to talk about wheat, and we haven't even talked about Russia-Ukraine at all.
No, we haven't, but it's still the big player in the world. Russia has played the part of I will take care of the poor countries for the last 3 years, and but their crop was subpar, and I wonder how long they can maintain that attitude.
Yeah, they have played that role while in a war.
Yes.
I did not think that they were going to be able to pull that off, but here they are. They've done it. The U.S. missed a great opportunity to go into those poor countries and establish a relationship with them on wheat trade right now, and they didn't do it.
I think you make a good point there, Chip. A really good point. We some great opportunities there.
Yep. Ed, it's always fun to talk with you, my friend. Thank you so much. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you.
You bet. Ed Usett, University of Minnesota Extension Grain Marketing Specialist. Okay, we've got some highlights to pull from that conversation, including talking a little bit more about those strategies. We'll do that next. Davis and I, back in a moment on AgriTalk.
Do you suffer from talking on the radio phobia? No problem. Send us a tweet at #AgriTalk.
And welcome back to AgriTalk, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. Your pal Davis Michelson. Glad to be here with you. Chip Lorry here as well. Chip, it's been a big week for me. Good things come in threes. I was waiting for him to fade that back up again just one more time. I think we got a comedian back there in the booth. Huh?
I think we do.
So
big week for Davis.
It really is. It really is. Let's see. I got a haircut, right? That was just yesterday.
Okay. Right.
I did manage to get out and get the lawn finally taken care of. I look fantastic. This one, I didn't tell you about this one. I had to go to the DMV. Now, I'm in Kansas City proper. Like, my zip code ends with a 0. Like, you don't get more urban than where I live. I was out the door of the house and back in the door of the house in 27 minutes with my plates renewed. 27 minutes.
That doesn't make any sense to
me. I walked right in there and just...
You can't even get to town on that.
No. And here's the third. And this one is just the topper. As you were saying something to somebody in the second segment there, my lovely wife comes into the broadcast booth here.
Yeah.
She's purchased us Barry Manilow tickets, baby. We're going to go see Barry Manilow right here in Kansas City.
I'm
mean,
sorry.
What could I even ask for more this week?
Someone left those under her windshield wiper when she was parked downtown.
Well, I know that's not true. It would be nice if that were the case, but no, she bought them. She bought them.
Wow.
I saw the receipt. Yeah.
Wow.
But it may be the idea is
you are truly excited.
I really am. The thing is, we're not huge Manilow fans, but it may be our last chance to see him in Kansas City anyway,
Okay.
So you never know. And I'm going to tell you something, dude. I have made out like a bandit on tips when I play Copacabana. I feel like maybe it's only appropriate I give a little something back. Maybe
give
get
a
Barry
something
t-shirt.
back. Is
give
that
a little
what you're
something
doing?
back. Yeah. You wrote a really nice little ditty there, and I've profited from it.
All right.
So, there
wow.
You go. Yeah.
Wow.
Big week, right?
Yeah,
Lots.
I guess.
Oliver Slope.
For me. Oh, you know what?
What? Go.
Greg, who goes on crop tour with us.
Hello, Greg.
Okay.
Yep.
Greg is from New York City.
Okay.
And he goes on crop tour with us. Okay. And he was sending me pictures and video last night. I got to get this right. Okay. He sent me video of Def Leppard, who was the headliner.
Yeah.
Okay. Journey was on before them.
Whoa.
Steve Miller Band.
Oh, I love this.
Was on before them. I love Steve Miller Band.
The space cowboy himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's a good show.
Oh, great show. Great show.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I was going to move us on to Oliver Slope's comment. We need more panic and capitulation to drive the market to forge a clear bottom here.
When Oliver said that, what he said was, okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off this thing, bleed it out, and let's find a low. Instead, we're paper cutting our way to the first close under with a $9 handle in September beans, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to end. The grind continues. The beatings are going to continue until morale improves. It is a tough market right now. There's no doubt about it. And I get what Oliver is talking about or was talking about. Let's go ahead and hammer it. Let's get it over with. Let's find the low and change things up.
Yeah. You wanted to talk strategies there. I don't know what you got in mind, but let me just open the chute. Strategy. Okay. Strategy,
so
baby.
We talked about it even yesterday afternoon. When we talk, every time we get an opportunity to talk about the process in selecting the right tool for the right time.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to grab those nickels and dimes rather than, leave them on the table. You got to come around to talking about the strategy to use at any given time. And come on, when I was asking Ed about how do you make that decision, there was only one right answer.
Yeah. And he went straight to it.
And
I know you liked that.
Yeah, he went straight to you got to look at basis.
Yep.
Now, so I thought I would take this one step further and say this. So how do you know if you've got good basis, average basis, or poor basis? To me, it's all about the 3-year average. I used to use a 5-year average, but I gave that up a long time ago because I think that the grain markets are changing more rapidly than what they used to. So 5 years too long, 3 years I think is better. Looking at a 3-year average on basis, and then compare it. I mean, and the thing is, you should be able to go into your elevator, your ethanol facility, your wherever you sell grain, and sit down with the merchandiser there and say, hey, so for July delivery right now, and on August 8th, if I'm looking forward to July delivery so that I can capture the carry, what is the normal basis that I would expect at this time? What is the 3-year average? You should be able to sit down with the guys and get that figured out, okay? So if you don't have it in your head or in your records, go talk to your merchandiser and have him show it to you.
Boy, it might be nice to have that in my head before I walk in, too, though, I got to say.
Have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, have an idea.
I didn't mean to stop you
National
there.
Weather Service 6 to 10 day outlook for August 14th through the 18th. Above normal temperatures in the northern and central production areas, near normal in the eastern and southeastern production areas on the temperatures. We've got above normal precipitation expected over most of the Corn Belt. Where we don't have above normal, we've got near normal. Hey, thank you so much for listening today. Come back tomorrow morning. We got the free-for-all here on AgriTalk.